Long ago, in the rolling green lands near the Drakensberg Mountains, there was a village called Kwanlovu, the village of the elephant. It was a place where laughter rose with the morning smoke and songs followed the cows to the river. In this village lived a girl named Lindau, tall and graceful as a marula tree, and a boy named Saifo, small but fierce like a mongoose. From childhood, they had been the village's favorite pair of troublemakers, always laughing, always competing, always making fun of each other. But their height difference made them the subject of endless jokes. When they stood side by side, people would say, "Look, it's the giraffe and the squirrel again." And the children would giggle as the two rolled their eyes and continued their teasing game. Yet no one knew that behind their laughter, something deeper stirred. Lindau was unlike anyone in the village. She towered over most men, her head high enough to see the smoke from huts far away. She moved with grace but carried the heavy shadow of self-consciousness. The other girls whispered that she would never find a husband because no man wants to crane his neck to kiss a woman. At night, when the stars came out, Linda would sit outside her hut, gazing up at them and whispering to the moon, "Why did you make me so tall, when my heart just wants to fit?" Her grandmother, old Mama Tembai, often told her, "My child, the spear that stands tall in the grass is the first to see the sunrise. Do not wish yourself smaller just to fit into shadows." But words of wisdom can sound soft compared to the noise of laughter. Saifo, on the other hand, was the smallest boy in the village. But what he lacked in height, he made up for with spirit. He was the star of the village's stick-fighting contest, darting and weaving between taller opponents. The old men said he fought like a hornet, small but impossible to catch. He laughed the loudest, worked the hardest, and had the biggest pride. Still, he hated when people teased him about his height, especially when they paired him with Lindau. "She's your big sister," the other boys would laugh. And Saifo, grinning through his pride, would shout back, "At least I can still outrun her." But when he was alone, he sometimes stood on stones at the riverbank, staring at his reflection, wishing he could be just a little taller, not for pride, but for someone he didn't yet admit he loved. Each year, when the rains ended and the earth began to bloom, Kwanlovu held the festival of spring, a time of dancing, storytelling, and matchmaking. Girls wore beads that shimmered like sunrise, boys oiled their skin and sang praise songs. It was during this festival that the young men and women often found the ones their hearts desired. Lindau, though shy, decided to join this year. She wore a dress woven with gold thread and beads that clinked softly as she walked. When she entered the gathering, heads turned. Even Saifo, who was helping with the drums, froze for a moment. Then he smirked and called out, "Careful, Lindau. The birds might mistake you for a new tree to nest in." The crowd laughed. Lindau's smile faded, though she tried to hide it. Later, when the dancing began, no one asked her for a dance, except the tall young men who were too proud, and the shorter ones who were too shy. Saifo, busy with his friends, didn't notice the quiet sadness in her eyes. That night, as the drums faded, Linda walked home alone beneath the moonlight. A few days later, heavy rain came. The river rose and flooded its banks, and the villagers rushed to rescue the goats and children playing too close to the water. Linda saw a small boy caught in the current. Without hesitation, she ran, her long legs carrying her into the rushing water. She grabbed the child and lifted him to safety. But as she turned to climb back, her foot slipped on a rock. Before she could fall, Saifo was there, having sprinted from the riverbank like lightning. He reached her, his small frame strong against the pull of the current, and together they scrambled back to shore. The people cheered, calling them heroes. But later, when the excitement quieted, Saifo found Linda sitting by the water, dripping and silent. "Why do you always run headfirst into danger?" he asked. "Because," she said softly, "it's the only time no one laughs at me for being tall." Saifo's grin faded. He sat beside her, the rain still dripping from his hair. I never meant to make you feel small, Linda, he said quietly. I joke because, when I stand beside you, I forget how small I am. Linda turned to him, her eyes wide. And when I'm with you, she whispered, I forget how tall I am. The river murmured between them, carrying their secret away. After that day, they spent more time together, tending the fields, walking the hills, teasing each other as always. But the teasing began to change. When Saipho called her, my giraffe, there was warmth behind it. When Linda called him, little lion, her eyes lingered just a heartbeat longer. The villagers noticed. Look at them, said old Mama Tembai, chuckling. Even a tall tree and a short bush can grow side by side if they share the same rain. Still, not everyone was kind. Some whispered, it's not proper, the woman so tall, the man so short. Others laughed openly. Saipho pretended not to care, but their words gnawed at him. One afternoon, while playing stick fighting with the village youths, one of them shouted, Careful, Saipho. If you marry Linda, you'll have to climb her just to kiss her. The laughter stung like thorns. In anger, Saipho fought too fiercely, striking harder than he meant to. When the fight ended, he stormed away, not at them, but at himself. That evening, Linda came to find him by the cattle kraal. You're angry, she said gently. I'm tired, he snapped. Tired of being the joke. Tired of people saying I'm not enough. Linda's voice trembled. You think I don't feel the same? Every day, I walk through this village and hear laughter behind me. Every day, I try to shrink myself so people won't look. But when I see you, I forget all that. Saipho turned away. Maybe forgetting isn't enough. The silence between them felt heavier than the mountains. Then Linda said quietly, perhaps you need to find someone smaller. Someone who makes you feel big. She turned and walked into the night. Saipho didn't stop her. Days passed. Neither spoke to the other. The village felt strangely quiet without their laughter. One night, Saipho dreamed of the ancestors. He saw himself standing in the valley, small and alone, while a great baobab tree rose before him. Its roots spread wide, its branches touching the stars. A voice echoed through the wind. The river does not choose the stones it flows between, yet together they make its path. He woke with tears on his cheeks and knew what he had to do. At dawn, Saipho went to Linda's hut. She was sitting outside, plaiting her hair. Before she could speak, he knelt in the dust. Linda, he said, I've been a fool. I thought pride made me strong, but it only made me small. You make me feel like I can reach the sky, not because you're tall, but because you make me stand taller inside. Linda smiled through her tears. And you, Saipho, make me feel like I can finally come down from the clouds and touch the earth. From that day, they were inseparable. When they walked together, people still laughed, but now the laughter was warm, like sunshine. The children called them, the tall girl and the little lion. And in time, their love grew stronger than the whispers. Years later, when they had children of their own, some tall, some short, all loud with laughter, Linda would tell them. Love is not measured in inches or arm's length. It is measured in how deeply two hearts can bow to each other. And the elders of Konlovo would nod and say, the tree and the bush may stand at different heights, but when the wind blows, they dance the same dance.